Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
Yo, 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 what's up, guys? Back in this biz niche for another episode of Go Deep. Episode number 28. The 2 and the 8, that equals 10. That is my birthday on the 10th day of the 9th month of the year. I don't know why I always tell you stuff like that, but I do. But let's go deep, episode 28. You know how we do. Let's get into some music. I have an interview from my homie Brian Kumm from the Snyder Cut movement. He's like the general of the Snyder Cut movement. If Zack Snyder is the boss and Fiona is the queen, then we're gonna talk to a general today. But before we do that, you know you gotta listen to some music. Get your mind right, get in the zone, so you can go deep with your boy. Be right back.
Where do I start?
Let's see, what do you want here?
Let me see where I start at. Hood cats a part of where it started at.
No doubt.
We hustle hard to keep the sharks fed. For the score, go to war like a jarhead.
High tech.
New York, New York, New York, New York,
Woo.
New York, New York, New York, New York, New York, New York.
We're gonna take you all on a little trip to New York City.
With her first hello.
Got a lot of heart. Best part is I'm clever too. Hand skills, hard work, gunplay, whatever do. Ecstasy, oxy, Vicodin, powder, Ari, haze, diesel, sour, dust juice, Lucy's, turbans, koofies, handguns is petite. The shotties is doofy. Telling is not nice. A lot of niggas got life. Everything is good in my bank except cock dice. Harlem's, Jordans, the hood can't afford them, so they bootleg them. Now everybody sport them. Dorms, cells, packages, mail, warrants, bails, everything's real now.
Let me see where I start at. Hood cats a part of where it started at.
New York.
We hustle hard to keep the sharks fed. For the score, go to war like a jarhead.
New York, 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 New York,
Hot tech, pat, post.
With her first hello.
All I got is my word and my nuts. Man, I got Brooklyn in my balls. So you can see Bed-Stuy if you looking in my drawers. Always talking about you ballin'. Look, you on the ball, word on the streets. Niggas ready to put you on the wall. You just a leg shooter. You aim your gun low, I shoot my tech high. I keep a high tech like the producer. Pap grip the Desi, till that clip is empty. Man, I have black buried in the cemetery. Go ahead, get your Fetty, but you better tell Holmes. Messing with me or get blackberry like a cell phone. Punks pay dues, not me, I pay attention. Call it New York, cause we keep reinventing.
Let me see where I start at. Hood cats a part of where it started at.
New York.
We hustle hard to keep the sharks fed. For the score, go to war like a jarhead.
New York, New York, New York, New York, New York, New York, New York.
For press use only. Baby Grand Records.
New York, New York, New York.
With her first hello.
Who flipped the vocabulary, shatter my adversaries, busting like a capillary. Roaches and rats on every corner when it's warmer, but New York is used to that already. Manhattan built those cemeteries where the blacks was buried. Yeah, I take the Staten Ferry, I walk the Broadway. I talk to chicks along the way with John Forte. Used to do this all day, burning in the project hallways, discuss the strategies in the court case. Tell 'em I rock the North Face, I'm cold like winter. I'm from Brooklyn like the D-Sep and low life niggas were. Fuck the talking, this a New York thing we at war, but all things considered we all kings. War.
Let me see where I start at. Hood cats a part of where it started at.
New York.
We hustle hard to keep the sharks fed. For the score, go to war like a jarhead.
New York, 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 New York.
My nigga, what up?
New York, New York.
Check again, nigga. Word up, I love it.
Hello.
Hey yo, I rhyme for the streets. Broke niggas rap when they feast. Who angry as hell, the yell from the beast. Wise killers up in New York who lay for a piece. Crime action get you trapped by the chiefs. No peace, see me prowling half the hood, styling good talent. Most of us fell off from drug wars, trying to re-up. The law wildin', can't get no rest. The best is on stress, palin', scheming on something green. With eagles on the chef found it while I take a trip back. My first little pack had to open doors, no time for broads. I was scoping crack, bagging like a newborn. Barely profit, beat pop off. We carry Tommy guns and smoke trees and yak pockets. Pilgrimage life, real life with no money and no white. I had this white girl who worked for me, wiping pipe, living by the sword. 100 niggas daily who get all aboard and kill for some paper, live on them acres, ball.
Let me see where I start at.
Hood cats a part of where it started at.
New York.
We hustle hard to keep the sharks fed. For the score, go to war like a jarhead.
New York. New York. New York. New York. New York. New York.
Word. I hope you like that song. That song was called Where It Started. It's High Tech is the producer, and you know the rappers on there. He had Jadakiss, he had Papoose, Talib Kweli, and Raekwon at the end. That shit was dope. Hope you liked it. If you like the intro, you see that this show is dedicated to Autumn Snyder. May you rest in peace. And you had a birthday end of last month, end of November. You know, I wanted to dedicate my last show to you, but we talked a little shit in my last show. I was talking about Dave the Film Junkie. It was just, oh man, he was just getting a little too much for me because, you know, the movement, man, when it gains this momentum, we really don't need anybody to be talking negative to it. You know, the only way we get this movement, the only way we get what we want out of it, whether it's the Snyder Cut, whether it's, you know, directors still holding their artistic expressions, all of that. We don't need anyone to be going back with any negative energy towards that, because that negative energy slows it down. If you're a fan of Zack Snyder and this movement, you shouldn't ever want to slow the shit down, no matter what your source told you. No matter what. And word on the street is you don't even have a source no more. Look how funny that is. But let's talk about some shit real quick. The Snyder Cut. The Snyder Cut movement is, we are hitting on all cylinders right now. No, we're not hitting on all cylinders. We got more cylinders to go. That's what makes me excited about what's to come. It's a lot of excitement around the place. You know, if you look at Warner Brothers Studios, they have been rearranging their movies, which some think is rearranging for the Snyder Cut. You know, when he comes out with his movie, it's going to be so different than the theatrical cut, then the canon of the future DCEU will be changed just because some of the stuff he presents you. So it looks like they are getting prepared for that change over at WB, which is a good thing, which brings us more excitement. If you look at Zack Snyder, he's, you know, back on his post and shit, which brings us more excitement. Zack Snyder, you know, this is all for Zack Snyder, you know. We're all lending our talents to Zack Snyder. You know, I had, you know, media experience. I had some music business experience. I had a little bit of experience to allow me to do these podcasts. These podcasts are, you know, my contribution to the Snyder Cut. My contribution to Zack Snyder, actually, because I started doing this for Zack Snyder. You know, I wanted to see his movie, but not only did I want to see his movie, nobody makes movies like that. Nobody has that artistic expression like Zack Snyder has. Like, I can watch 10 movies and they're all like, they're okay. Some are corny, some are whack, some are cool, some are okay. But when you watch a Zack Snyder movie, it's like wow. Like, wow, this guy is so talented. This guy is really talented. We're not just fighting to see Justice League, the Ultimate Edition. We're fighting to make sure that not only Zack Snyder has his opportunity to express himself like he wants to. Nobody wants to work 10 years on movies and not be able to do what they want or say what they want or express themselves how they want to express themselves. Still following the guidelines of the characters and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But Zack Snyder was doing that. The bloggers, you know, they interfered with it, but I think the bloggers were part of a bigger agenda. You know, when you look back at it, it looks like his competition was just scared of him, you know, and that happens a lot when people are really, really good at what they do. The competition gets scared. The competition gets nervous, like, what is that guy gonna do, you know, or what's coming next from that guy, you know, blah, blah, blah. But in this situation, it looks like the competition tried to take their preemptive strikes against him, you know, like they wanted to be where he was at, you know, looks like the competition wanted to have what he had, but they didn't gain it organically. They went behind his back and, you know, stabbed him in the back to try to get where he was at. And that is what we're not allowing anymore. Definitely not me. I'm not allowing that shit anymore. You know, Zack Snyder, I mean, he's handled this shit with 100% complete class. This was the most, you know, gracious gentleman. If you look how he handled it, this is the issue that I have a lot. If you look at all the bloggers and all the, you know, YouTubers and all this stuff, the negative people when they talk about the DCEU, you know, they always take every chance they get to shoot a bullet at Zack Snyder. Every chance. It's like the other day I saw some guy on Twitter, they was like, yeah, Aquaman is great, but you know, it doesn't look like the Snyderverse or anything. Like, dog, why can't you just say Aquaman is great? You know, you don't have to take time out to shoot at Zack Snyder. So that's why we're shooting at you. And it's not like you know, we're retaliating, but what we're doing is I'm going around and I'm trying to shush you guys. Like, hey, shut the fuck up. You know, cut that shit out, you know, because not only is Zack dealing with what he was dealing with Warner Brothers, he was dealing with a family fucking tragedy, you know? How can you kick a man when he's down like that? And then when you look at him from an outsider's perspective, he's not even retaliating. He's taking all of these kicks. He's taking all of this shit like a gentleman, you know? He's taking all of this bad press, you know, people putting his business out in the street saying he was fired and his daughter's situation. He's taking all of that and he's still being a gracious gentleman. He might have left Twitter or whatever, but he's on Vero and he's holding it down, you know? So my thing is, why would you kick a man when he's down like that? You know? That's what makes me come to kick y'all's ass. That's just it. You give out this negative energy and you invite this negative energy to your doorstep. And that's what we doing. We're bringing it to your doorstep. And we're not worried about you guys at all, you know. Y'all did it the last time with all this negative press and this, that, or other, but we wasn't organized like we are now, you know. We wasn't really able to defend the legacy of Zack Snyder. We wasn't able to defend, you know, the DCEU, because a lot of times it's Marvel guys shooting their shot, you know. But now we're able to defend all of that shit, you know. And that's what my video last week was about to Dave the film junkie. It's like, dude, cut the shit, dude. You're just a regular guy. Cut the shit. You know, you had a source and they were feeding you something. And what I heard, they're not feeding you anymore. Which is hilarious. But, so we're going to keep on going, you know. We're going to keep on busting this shit out. Every day if we have to. More podcasts, more articles, more blogs, more vlogs. You know, more everything. More organization on Vero. When one person drop a post now, all the Spartans drop a post, you know? But then, what if we start acting like Spartans and come fuck y'all up? That's what you should be worried about. Because it's not, like, with Zach, he dropped a picture of Darkseid the other day. You know, Darkseid wasn't even in the theatrical cut. But that's Zach saying, I don't know if he's saying all gloves are off, but, you know, he's saying something. So that's just, that's my message I'm continuing to preach. And I got my dude Brian on today, and we're going to continue to preach, you know, positive Snyder Cut movement stuff. We're going to continue to show love to Zach. We're going to continue to show love to each other, you know, because each one of us, we have something that we can bring to the table. All we need to do is mold it, you know, make it cute and put it out there. That's what we're going to do, just like all of you naysayers did. Y'all have y'all's publications, podcasts, whatever. And y'all use that platform to bring negativity to a fucking movement that we're standing behind. It's only but so much we're going to let you do that, dog. I told Fiona, I said, yo, tell Zach I'm going to be his Charlie Prince. If you know the movie 310 to Yuma, Ben Wade, right? Ben Wade, Russell Crowe's character. He was, he's pretty much the man. It had Russell Crowe, had Christian Bale. Russell Crowe was the man in the movie, but, you know, he was a bad guy, I guess. He turned out to be a good guy if you didn't see the movie, but he had a crew. And the crew was just robbing shit. But he had a little right-hand man, Charlie Prince. Charlie Prince didn't take no shit from nobody. Now, I hope me and Zach don't end up like Charlie Prince and he got to shoot the shit out of me. That won't happen because I'm going to stay in my lane. But, you little Pinkertons out there, Dave Pena, you little Pinkertons, we're busting you in the stomach, Bobo. We're busting you in the stomach. We're fucking... I can't even talk. I'm just a little excited right now, man. So let's get into this Brian interview, my homie. This might be a little short. No, it won't be short. I think me and Brian did about 15 minutes. And then, you know, I do about 15 minutes of talking and we got a 30-minute show. So everybody, when you see this show, if you like it, please like and subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends, because when you share it, that makes the algorithm go up in your region. So if you share it in Bangladesh, or you share it in China, or you share it wherever the fuck you share it at, now I got a piece of that algorithm and we can continue to grow in your country. So that's what we need. We need likes, subscribes, and shares. I'm not trying to get money out of this shit. In fact, I can't even get money out of my YouTubes because I put other people's copyright music in it. So I just fucking delete my chances to make money off this shit. But it's not about money. It's not about money. It's about the message, like Joker said. It's not about the money. It's about the message. And that's what we're holding on to. And that's what we're not going to let y'all deteriorate, the message. So let's get into this shit. Go Deep, episode 28. Brian Kumm interview. Release the Snyder Cut movement, the general in the movement. Big ass Brian from fucking, where's he from? New England. Even though I hate the Patriots, this is my homie. Let's go. Go Deep, episode 28. You bitch! All right, welcome to Go Deep, episode, what's this, 28? Yeah, I think it's 28. We got my friend Brian Kumm on from Massachusetts. He's a Patriots fan, but we don't hate him for that.
Hey, you know?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
It's good. It's good.
Yep, that's good.
Talk to you, man.
You too, man. So tell us something about yourself. I met you on the Snyder Cut movement.
Yep. I've been on Vero probably since like last February or so.
Right.
Yeah. So, just been talking to a lot of really cool people on Vero, connecting a little bit with Zach, but, not so much.
Right.
A little bit here and there. It's just a really cool community of people coming together, looking to see his vision,
Right, exactly. So catch us up on some stuff. How is it going on, and what's up with the Snyder Cut right now? How's the movement looking, and anything you can report about?
I'd say right now we're in a pretty strong place. Obviously there's been a lot of ups and downs along the way, and people come and go, and the people that have stuck it out are really strong. They're forming a strong core, and they're really cool ideas for where to take things going forward. One of the main things has been, although the Snyder Cut is really sort of a goal in a way. I mean, we all want to see what Zach had in mind, how he was going to wrap up some of the ideas he had in Man of Steel and BVS. But, really it comes down to, our artistic freedom, right, and, what these movies are allowed to be. And,
right.
I mean, people want to say, the cut doesn't exist, or, they can't be released in the form it's in, or WB would never do it. None of that stuff really matters, because at the end of the day, we're fighting for artistic freedom and for these directors to be able to tell the stories they want to tell.
Exactly. And it's dope from like I said, from an outsider's perspective, because I sat there and I kind of watched you guys for about maybe like a year, a few months, up until San Diego Comic-Con. And from an outsider's perspective, what y'all did was monumental. You made Warner Brothers actually change a course correction, made them change course, because when they slipped in the Joss Whedon cut and, they started firing everybody, they were dead set on going in one direction,
Absolutely, yeah.
You guys changed that. And that's huge. That's huge, and I just want to give y'all a shout out, because I don't think anybody really gives y'all enough credit for what y'all have been doing over the past year, And
I mean, I appreciate it. I've tried to do my part, whether it's the letter writing or sending a video of encouragement, or, the phone call campaign. I try to pitch in where I can, but I mean, I'm just one guy in the movement. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I don't see that I have a really big role, but that's the thing that's cool, is because everyone can bring what they can bring, and they add to the momentum,
Right. No, you're a general. You're a general, definitely.
I mean, Fiona has been here. She's Spartan number one,
Right.
And it's really her lead that was followed, and beyond that, it's Zach's lead that she followed, So it's everyone just everyone's really cool in there. They all. It's a really collaborative vibe. People like to speculate on things. People have different ideas, different things we can do as a movement. And it's from my perspective, it's building. There was some time there, especially after Comic-Con, where there was a lull, and people really didn't know what to do with the energy or the vibe, or that disappointment. But it's really built back up since then to something even stronger, I'd say.
Right. I agree. So we're going to go deep a little bit. I know you can't say everything, we can't, but me and you talk every now and then. Tell me a little bit about what you think happened to Zack Snyder. Why did they do that?
Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, we've had some discussions about it, but honestly, I think there's very few people out there, in the mainstream anyway, in terms of artists that are willing to give a voice to big ideas.
Right.
And I think Zach is I mean, if he's not number one on the list of people that do that, he's going to be pretty close to it.
Right.
A lot of ideas that he explored in Man of Steel and BVS, you know, whether it's, you know, genetic manipulation or,
right.
you know, energy harvesting or
right.
degenerative bloodlines or,
right.
you know, billionaires got themselves involved in, you know, black operations, you know,
right
down the line, you know, and he'll put it right out there, you know,
right.
And I can't imagine that, you know, people above him, you know, some of them anyway, probably aren't too happy about that.
Correct. You're right. And I mean, just some of the stuff you named, people are gonna have to go back and Google all that degenerative bloodline and you know different stuff like that. But Zach is deep, man.
Check out your adrenochrome episode.
Right. Thanks for the plug, man. Thanks for the plug. All right. So how are we looking today? Because I feel like the Snyder Cut is coming. It feels like Zach has a newfound energy in him, you know.
Right through, you know, all of us are kind of on pins and needles because it really does feel like all the momentum and all the energy is kind of like, you know, kind of converging down a little bit, you know.
Right. I agree.
And it seems like there's some target in mind, whether that's, you know, whether that's the cut itself or some future involvement with Zach in the franchise going forward. Both. I mean, anything's on the table at this point because that's not happening.
Right.
It's all still possible.
Right. What do you think about? We got some bloggers these days, some more YouTubers these days that's really acting like, oh, the Snyder Cut don't exist. We're not gonna get it. Don't get your hopes up. Blah blah blah. What do you think about these guys?
I mean, they have an agenda in one way or another, whether it's you know, a conscious thing where they're looking at, you know, what their preference is with the Marvel formula, and they want to apply it so bad to what DC's doing, or I mean, honestly, I don't know. It could be a number of things, but there's definitely an agenda to not let these films be something more real.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's almost like this dumbed down idea of what heroism could be.
Exactly.
Is a preference, you know? Almost like making a mockery of it.
Like the Disney model.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? I know you got to get back to work. We can go deep or you can keep it shallow because, you know, I know how it is these days.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a couple minutes, so if you want to go deeper, that's fine too.
All right, so let's talk about some of the people inside of WB. Do you think we can hit on that maybe hindered the movement or maybe hindered Justice League, Batman vs. Superman, maybe even the whole Snyder Cut movement itself, you know? Talk about some of that. I know you know a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of the talk about what happened with Justice League has to do with, well, I mean, back to agendas. I mean, Jeff Johns kind of took control of, you know, all of DC somewhere, you know, middle towards the end of production on BVS. And, you know, it seemed like he really had a preference for how he wanted to tell the story from his perspective.
Right.
And it didn't seem to include a lot of what Zach had in mind.
Right.
You know, and we heard about that whiteboard that Zach had in his office that dropped down from the ceiling, and it had these elaborate plans and ideas that they could explore. You know, all different filmmakers coming in this sort of concept like they do in the comics with all these crossovers, you know?
Right.
And it's a really cool concept to go that way because it is completely creator driven, and but it also allows to have this shared universe that everyone can appreciate, but at the same time, every film isn't following the same formula.
Right.
So, you know, it's really cool, but I just think that there was sort of a battle between the egos there, You know, Johns wanted to tell it in his way.
Right.
Zach and his, you know, his core of directors wanted to tell it in their way. And, you know, honestly, you know, with the tragedy that happened with Zach and his family, I think there was just an open opportunity, and some people took advantage of it.
Right, right. I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. So tell me this. If the Snyder Cut comes out, let's say next month, what does that do to WB canon for the rest of the DCEU?
Well, I think it changes everything.
Right.
I think if you, I mean, even if the actual story points aren't all that different from, you know, what the theatrical cut of Justice League did, you know, if basically the same story is followed, I still think it adds a lot because of all those details and all those layers of meaning that Zach likes to put in his films. I mean, that could carry forward to all kinds of different films that could touch on it. And as it stands right now, you don't have any of that connective tissue. But I have a feeling that there were a few things in Snyder's cut that were not in the theatrical cut that could affect the canon.
Right.
So it depends going forward, but if they see that they have the opportunity to, you know, reinstate Snyder's ideas while also kind of incorporating the direction that things were heading, you know, sort of, I don't know that you'd call it a retcon because it's not really, you know, it's sort of retroactive, but not exactly. But,
right.
You know, I think if they could do that and they would see some of the success, because honestly, the whole universe would be more integrated and more interesting.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I think if they could see the potential for that, I mean, anything could happen, because then Zach, you know, the door would be open for him to come back at any point.
Right.
Maybe he does a Crisis movie or a Flashpoint or
Injustice.
Another Superman movie. Justice, yeah.
Right.
It could be any project, but, you know, it would be able to tie into what he's already established.
Right.
And, you know, just looking at the other films that they have coming up on the slate, obviously Aquaman in a couple of weeks, Wonder Woman 84 moved.
Right.
You know, that leaves some time open where if they're looking to fix some things that they could.
Right.
Shazam just went into reshoots. I mean, things could be happening with that as well. So, I mean, it could be that they finally figured out what direction they want to go in, and going forward, we're going to have something a lot stronger.
Right.
And something that'll actually compete on its own merits again, the whole Disney formula.
I agree. I definitely agree 100% with that. What about Aquaman? You heard this morning he said it follows the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
You know, he said it ends after the Snyder Cut. It's like, damn, just give us the Snyder Cut.
And you got to figure he's probably going to be very careful about what he can say on that press tour. They
Right.
probably already told him what he's allowed to say and what he's not. And the fact that he took that opportunity to call out Zach's cut and say that this story ended, I mean, it's too early to tell, but I think that might say a lot.
I agree. So we're gonna wrap it up, man. Give some shout outs to the Spartans and let everybody know you love them.
Oh, I love my Spartans. They're the best, and there is no better fandom that an artist could ask for. You all do, Zach. So proud every day.
I agree, man. I definitely agree. Well, Brian, man, I appreciate you giving me some time, man. I'm going to go edit this up, and I'll probably have it out either today or tomorrow, man.
Sounds great, man. It was really good talking to you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Bo.
All right, glad we could do this.
Till next time. See ya.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.